related to the skill set, that how you do it and how that you can understand to scale your income up, how that you can get more commission. So that's why sales is something that I very like because it has unlimited potential, right? When you're good at it, you can generating millions of dollars. When you suck at it, you can generating zero. But that is the thing, right? Today I want to talk about how you can start using DM to generating appointments, even for you, for finding opportunities, connecting with influencers, many big companies, or people that needing your service. So this is a skill where it never ending, right? When you start learning how to generate appointments, whenever you do sales, even with insurance sales, car sales, realtors, or any kind of work that requires sales, this is always evergreen, and the only way that is changing is the way that you do the sales. What I mean by that, like a lot of people that they don't know when they're like pushy, in sales, they're like, hey, just buy my stuff, man. This is going to work well and it's going to help you. It's working like 5, 6, 7 years ago, but it's not really working right now, right? And a lot of people actually start doing that, right? It just annoys people and people don't want to listen to it, because imagine if you're just getting some pitches like that, right? And you feel crazy, like why you pitch me directly? You don't even know me, you don't even know my problems, you don't even know what I need, and just pitch me directly. It doesn't make sense, right? So again, if you're business owners that watching this, or maybe even you are just someone that want to start in sales, or you're just beginner in sales, or maybe you're already a veteran in sales, and let me tell you, 90% or even maybe 93% of people, they are not really good in outreach, in outbound. Because outbound, nobody likes it, right? But I'm good at it. So I don't really have to do it right now. So many things, like I don't really have to be focusing all my hours to do outbound, but I was doing it to generating quite good revenue in sales. So I never be afraid to make a phone calls to strangers, to just talk with them, have a genuine conversation, finding their problems, move them emotionally, and book appointments. That is what I do, what I did, right? And right now I'm still doing some calls here and there. It's not my main priority, because it's very interesting. When you do good at it, you do less of it. Make sense? I'll repeat that again. If you're doing something very good at it, you do less hours on it because you do good at it. But if you're just getting started, you need to be good at it first, right? That's where you need to put in more hours. You need to understand how that you really can do it without have to just figuring out things when you're just getting started, if you know what I mean. Right? So I want to share these tips just starting by DM, right? Because DM is like sending messages to strangers, and especially right now people are already booming in social media, getting to the Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn, anywhere you can find strangers. So there's no excuses how you cannot do it. And it starts with free, because social media is not charging you monthly subscription, right? And you can just generating them appointments. So at the end of this live, or maybe at the middle of this, I'll promote my things, and let me know if this makes sense to you. I have a $9 program. There's a monthly subscription where you can subscribe to it, and you can get a lot of stuff inside there, all the script, my resources, my live calls, something like this, but I do it weekly, so you can understand and ask questions live in person, and how that you can scale it to get better in it, right? So there are a lot of stuff that you can do, and you can understand how that you can start DMing, right? I think this is the good place to go. Hey, so this is my daughter. If you look at her, she just turning 3 this year, and this is how I do my work. It's all remote. I'm in Malaysia, and everything does is basically start from reaching out, from outreach, right? Because think about it, if you are doing sales, right, and you're doing inbound sales, for example, you still need to do outreach, right? You still need to follow up with people. You need to confirm the appointment, right? At the end of the day, outreach is something that you cannot ignore, right? So let's get into it. How that you can start DM and finding opportunities for yourself, finding opportunities for companies, and you can even use the exact skill set to make money for other people, or even for yourself if you have your own business or things, right? So tips on starting the DM. So I will start with something that not to do, all right? Because this, like, typically most people do it wrongly, and what things that you don't have to do it, like, don't do it actually, right? So the first thing is that don't pitch directly right away, right? This is like, don't pitch right away. This is like most people are always DM people, and then they suddenly start to pitching, right? And when they pitch, like I'll show you one quick example how that they do it. But a lot of people, they just come into the conversation and suddenly they pitch, right away. And when you know what happened if you pitch right away to some strangers, is that you will get ignored. You'll get rejected, right? Yes, what happened? What do you need? Yes. Yes. It's a very good video. Okay, so if you understand the way that you reach out, you will not get rejected so easy. But imagine if you are just standing on your house, like you're just having your own time, and suddenly someone knocking on your door and just saying like, hey, buy my stuff, right? And they're selling perfume or things that you don't want. And how will that make you feel? You will feel like what is happening, right? And you will reject the person for sure, or ignore the person. So that's the thing that most people will do if you pitch right away. Like I'll show you example. Let's see if I can open some of my conversation that I can show you what exactly that other people are doing. All right. Okay, I'm back now. So here's one of the example how that you really can, how that you see a bad example. Okay, so don't follow this, because most people have been doing this when they're just going in and pitch people what happened with it, right? And this is most likely you will get ignored. So the first place you gotta go is that don't pitch people, because again, like I mentioned, if you just start pitching people right off the bat, right, and people is just going to see that you are annoying. So don't start with pitching people. And I'll show you one example, like how you should not pitch people. Okay, let's see one of the example that I just got recently. Okay, let me show you this. I don't know if you can see my screen right now. Yeah. Okay. Oops, I think there is some error when I'm sharing the screen on that side, but I want to show you another example. Oh, is that sharing my screen? Okay. All right, cool. So this is how that you can see how other people start their conversation. And again, this is not something that I want you to do, and just try to avoid this when you start any DM, right? And this is how it looks like. Example, right? When you start a conversation, like the person don't even know you yet, didn't even mention your name, and just pitch you directly like this, right? And saying that, hey, hope you're doing well. Would it help your business if you had a staff appointment setters filling your calendar with sales appointment with your ideal clients, fully trained appointment setters via work 8 hours a day, 40 hours a week. They use their own accounts, book meetings for you, find the target clients, blah 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 blah, right? It is like so lengthy. Now the first thing that you don't ever send a lengthy message when you are sending it to someone, right? Because it doesn't make sense for you and for the other person to understand basically the message, because you don't know the person and the person don't know you, and you just suddenly messaging the person with some paragraphs and some pitch. It is like in the real life, if you meet someone and the person just keep talking with you without stopping for a long period of time, like couple seconds without stopping, and it's just like, I don't want to hear from you, right? So this one big mistake that a lot of people have been doing is that don't pitch right away, and then there's no personalization. You see, there's just hi, there's no name or anything. I can see this a copy paste, and the person is just sending this to like 1,000 people in a day. And you know what? I was getting some information from this person, like, hey, how you do it like this? And most people that offering something offer like this, right? Oh, I'm providing a appointment setter for you. I'm providing how that you can start generating some good result with this. But what they do is that they creating, let's say, 20 VAs, and they set up their own Facebook accounts with a fake name, or it's just so spammy. And it is going to send out, let's say, 20 people with 4 accounts, so it's like 80 accounts in a day, and they send out about 100 messages, so it's about 800 messages like this in a day, annoy people out, and it doesn't have any value. So this is super crazy, right? Like how people do it. It is like the same thing. Hey, I'm going to offer you how you can spam other people so you can get appointments. Of course you don't want it, right? But how that you can make your messages is much in control. How you can make your messages in genuine conversation, that you really understanding what other people have been exactly feeling, right? That is much more doable rather than you just going in and pitch directly like this. There is no personalization. It's just copy paste, maybe generated by AI, I don't know, but it's just the chance that they will get some message. Maybe it's lucky, maybe one of the 100 that will respond to this and they say yes to it. And maybe someone like me then just like kind of want to see the bait what they're doing to understand about this. But don't pitch people directly, please. Just stop pitching people directly right away, right? That's number one. If you want to be good in appointment setting and reaching out from DMs, don't pitch people directly. This is number one, right? Don't pitch right away. And number two is that you not sending a copy paste message. Do you know that in Facebook they will know if you're sending copy paste message? There is some AI or bot or anything, I don't understand, but when you sending copy paste message, they will understand what you are trying to do, because it is spammy, right? It's not like genuine conversation. Imagine if you have a conversation with someone, you will not just copy paste a message and just send it to 100 people, right? And this is something that you need to personalize instead, right? So I will share with you what to do next after this, right? But I will just show you what not to do first at this time. And number three is that when you are sending your message, try to focus on them, right? Do not focus on yourself. And this is a lot of mistakes that most people are doing. Let's go back to that example, right? He didn't even ask about me at all. Like, she didn't care of me. She just cared of, can we have a conversation, right? And it's like, with the help of your business, if you had a staff, blah blah blah, our fully trained appointment setters, blah blah blah, right? It's just straight pitch off the bat. It's talking about them, right? So when you are generating an appointment, when you're having a conversation with someone, don't talk about you too much. Don't talk about you all the time, and it's just going to be not working, because you can use the rules of 80-20s, right? So I'll just list down what to do. So don't pitch right away, but ask about them. And then don't send copy paste message, but instead you need to personalize. Right? And then number 4 is that a lot of people, when they are sending messages, they're impatient. What does it mean? Have you sending a message and then suddenly the other person is just like ignoring you, or maybe didn't respond to you, and then you not having a patience and you follow up with them right away, or even like you're waiting for a couple of minutes or a couple of hours. Don't be impatient. Like, other people are very busy, right? And we don't know what happened with their situation because it's a cold DM or a follow-up, right? But instead, you need to be patient enough to kind of wait. So give them some time to process what you say, to understand what you're trying to say. And if you have a patience, just follow up in 24, 48 hours, 72 hours, doesn't matter, but give some time. Don't just respond directly, right? Because it's going to make a big shift if you being patient. And if they really didn't respond to you, and just ping them. Like, normally this is how I ping them. So instead, what you should do is that follow up after 24, 48, or 72 hours, right? And this is how you follow up. You just put a name and question mark. It's just simple. Don't do it like, hey, have you seen this message, or when can you get back to me, or anything. Put in a name and question mark. If you want to, you can put some emoji. I don't know how to draw the emoji, but you can put some emoji there just to make it more friendlier, but still you are showing your expertise, that you're not desperate for it, right? So don't be desperate. Don't be desperate, because nobody likes desperate people, right? And if you're come across like, hey, I'm sorry, like, can I get another? So it's just begging. Don't beg, right? And be patient. So number 5, you also need to know that don't just make friends. And this is a lot of people have been doing, right? Like when they messaging people, maybe they're not pitching their stuff directly, but they just in the sake of making friends. They don't have any direction how they should do their DM. So script. Instead, you can use some script or how to unlock pain points. I'll share a bit about this in today's session, like how that you can unlock some pain points, and briefly, so you can understand how you can do it. But a lot of people who have the mindset, oh, I'm just wanting to connect with the person, so build a rapport, and they stop with that, it is not going to move anywhere, right? The sake of you DMing someone, at the end of the day, you still want to get some appointments, right? But it is not the way that you just want to make friends. A lot of people, they be in a friend zone and they don't know how to transition to the appointment setting, right? And when you be in the friend zone, there's nothing wrong with it, because you build relationship, you become more like a friends. But don't forget that you are the expert that want to solve other people's problem, right? And at the end of the day, you will still want to close them. So you need to become a friend, but you need to know how that you can get out of that friend zone and start to become the expert and take over the conversation, take control on it, right? Because when you're just making friends, it's good in the sake of getting more connections, but you don't get a lot of friends. How many of you guilty of this? Put in the chat. If you're watching this right now, if you feel guilty of this, put in the chat what you should do instead. Put a script, right? Unlock some pain points. So how can you ask some pain points is by doing some, I'll go into it in a second after this, not to do list, right? And then number 6 also, you don't always get into the conversation with the assumption to have the appointments. So it's very counterintuitive, right? Just now I mentioned to you that don't just make friends, but make appointments. But how can you make appointments without being attached? So don't focus on outcomes. So this is what I learned from one of the expert in DMs, which is if you are coming in a way to just focusing on the outcomes, you will come across pitchy, period. Because you're too focused on the outcome itself to set appointments. But instead, what you should focusing on is to really about the purpose. What is the purpose of DM conversations? When you do DM conversations, your focus is going to give a big room of how you can move someone emotionally on that conversation. Because nobody will like you if you just coming in and suddenly like, hey, do you want to talk? Right? Have you ever get an email? Put in the chat in the comment right now. If you ever get an email, and on that email that you are saying, and let's say you get the email, right? And you read the email, and you see the email, and the email saying that, hey Andreas, I just see that you are a coach, and I have seen that you are teaching a lot of people in the good stuff. How that do you outreach, and do you want to get to know our software? And if you want to know more, just reply to this message and then book a call from this link, right? How many of you got that message? And I was guilty back then as well. I raised my own hand. Back then, I will show you one of the messages back then that I sent and make me cringe, because I was really desperate, because when you want to focus on the outcome too much, and then your messages is come across salesy because you are expecting you can get the bookings right away. Don't do that instead. Because imagine if you read that message, you will not click into the link and suddenly set up appointments directly, right? You don't know the person is, you don't know what the person is offering, how that they promise the things. You don't even know how that really your problem can be solved by it, right? So instead of that, focus on understanding the person. Focus on, if you want to put a CTA on the message, put it as simple as possible. Don't make it complicated, right? So that's also number 7, too complicated. And this is the mistake that is very common, because if you are putting a message that's too complicated, what happened? If either the person don't understand what you are saying, or the person will have too much information and they will not read your message, right? So keep it simple. Instead of just saying like, oh, I have a better way to revolutionize your way. Even hard to say it. A better way to revolutionize the way that you close your deal, so you can get 10x ROI on your result without have to get into so much time implementing stuff and learning to complete. Like they're so long, it's complicated, it's hard to read. Forget about it, right? Nobody likes it and nobody will read it. So put it as simple as possible. When you're sending the message, put it as simple as, I will show you 3 ways how you can set appointments without have to run the marketing ads and have a lot of pains learning about ads and marketing stuff, right? That's so simple. It's just like 1 sentence, 2 sentence, and it's very direct to the point without over promising, and just be genuine conversation, right? That you can do. So instead, you need to do it as simple as possible, right? So there's a concept that I want to share with you that is called USP, right? So this is a concept where you can apply this if you're doing your calls, you're doing your DMs, doing your emails. This concept is always apply, right? USP is not unique selling point. It's another abbreviation for it, but in this context, it's not USP, that USP, okay? But this USP, it means unusual, S is simple, and P is personalized. What does it mean? So I'll break it down for you. Unusual means that your message that you want to send to other people, it has to be not normal, not usual, right? Because if you're sending DM messages that is too usual, meaning that average salesperson are doing, which is pitchy, complicated, long form, right? People will not read it. But instead, you need to send something that is unusual. For example, and I have a whole video on this to kind of talk about this USP concept. I can share it with you if you want to. Just drop me a comment below and I'll share the video with you with the script, how that you can do it. So USP is the unusual. The unusual way to do it is you can say, hey Josh, I saw that you are running this company. Curious to know if you have a lot of success with what you have been doing. I don't have any promise right now, but see if we can help you get to the 3x ROI without have to do so much work. Worth a chat. That is so unusual, that is so simple, so direct, so simple, and is also personalized because they mention about your company, they mention about your name, mention the problems that you're having. So USP plus A. Okay, what is A stands for? A is the assumption of market assumption. What is market assumption? It is a statement that you put in right there to know if they have that pain points. What does it mean? If you put it into application, this assumption could be sound like, hey Josh, it looks like you are having some struggle to book more appointments every day without have to annoy so many people. That is assumption. When you send that message, the other person that will receive it, either they will say what? Yes or no, right? So we want to validate if they have this problem or not. This is the concept of USP plus A, right? If you know how to do this well, people will resonate with your message, people will see your message easier, and they'll understand how that they can respond to your message, right? So this is the concept of USP. If you have any questions, just drop the comment below, and I'll get to your question after this live, and I will see how I can help you better with that, right? And by the way, this Friday, there'll be a Q&A, live Q&A session where I can do something like this, but personalize it for you, for your case. If you ask the question on my program, there's just $9 per month. I'll drop the link on the detailed description and the comment below, so you can join my program. The $9, it has a lot of stuff like this. There's a lot of concept, what I do and how I do my cold DM outreach, and how that I teach it on the program, and how you can ask live question. We have a weekly Zoom calls that you can do. I'll drop you the link on the comments after this live, so you can get to it. All right. And ask more questions if you have any. Okay. So number 8 is that a lot of people, actually, they have been doing the DM in a way that they just no direction. So instead of no direction, you need, again, you need to have a script, but also you need to know the flow of conversation, right? What is the flow of conversation? So whenever someone is starting to feel annoyed and they start to avoiding you, that you need to have the direction, or what should I do next? It's kind of like objection crusher, objection handling. You know, when they say this, you can say that. When you say this, you can say that, right? So you need to judge, you need to understand when you're talking to someone, how they feel about you, how they feel about themselves, how they feel about the conversation. If you don't have any direction, it will not flow. They become like a robot, like an AI, right? So this also avoid it using just like GPT copy paste, right? But instead, using the simple concept here, you can use it to simplify, right? You can tell the ChatGPT, or even tell to check your grammar, but also tell ChatGPT to simplify it to 5th grade language. This is what I always do whenever I even do a outreach using emails as well. You need to check it if your vocabulary, your words is as simple as you're talking to 10-year-old person. It's just so simple to read, just so fast to read, doesn't require any effort. That is the where your direction should be, right? And then when you're sending these DMs, and when they start to feel kind of like they don't want to talk to you, they start to avoiding you, then you need to kind of know what kind of sentence that you should ask after this. Not just going directly and pitching them stuff that they already don't want and still keep pushing for it. But you need to know how that you can put in some direction, some real direction that other people will actually appreciate your effort, right? I'll show you some example after this, but let me finish this right here first. So instead, you need to have a flow, right? So you can be human on the conversation. So this is so important for you to grasp this concept. So when you're doing your DMs, it's not come across salesy or robotic or just copy paste, and you have a better engagement, right? Now, number 9, this is something that I think a lot of people didn't realize they do it, but don't harass. Nobody likes to be harassed, right? What it means is that they follow up too much, and when they follow up, they just being like, hey, did you see our conversation make sense? Do you find any value on it? If you do, let's set up a time. Like that is the follow-up way that for sure will get ignored, right? Instead, how that you do is adding value. What is the best way to add value in a conversation? Ask me that question. Put it in the chat right now. Put it in a comment. How to add value on a conversation with someone. Now, let me tell you this. Don't talk about yourself. Don't talk about how my content can help you to solve this problem, right? Don't talk about you first. Before you do that, you should be talking about the problem, right? Focusing on the problem. So remember, the purpose is to what? Is to move them emotionally on the call, right? But you need to know how that you can shift their problem. Take example, what problem that I'm solving is how you can do good in outreach, so you can do follow-up, you can talk to strangers without getting annoyed or ignored. So you have a better conversion, you have better appointments, you have better closes for income, right? But here's the thing. If you don't have problem to start, you will not be able to understand how you can solve the problem, because you don't know what's really happening on that side, right? So start with the problem. If you're talking to someone, you don't ask directly, hey, what problem you have, right? Don't ask that directly. It's too direct. It's a ideal question to ask, but you need to have a realistic question. So instead of asking, hey, what kind of problem you have, you can say that, hey, I know that you have been doing sales for 5 years. Do you observe any kind of challenges that you feel keep coming out, and how do you solve that normally? That question is so thoughtful, it's so powerful because it's so personalized, it's easy to digest, it's not hard to answer, but also focusing the problem. But you're not mentioning like, tell me your problem, right? But you are talking in the same meaning, same direction on it, but you have that meaning, right? So focus on the problem, be a problem finder instead of a problem solver. At the first, you need to find a problem, then only you can solve it, right? And the last one is that, again, keep it. Okay, so this is don't do. What you don't do is don't how to know. Don't put too long messages. Voice note, right? So I think a lot of people put too long voice note, or even they send a video or voice note that is too long, that is draggy. You know, it's not wrong to send a Loom video or a voice note or a media, right? Basically, or even a website for them to kind of see. I'm not preferring to send a website basically, but before even you send that, you need to know what the problem, right? If you send a voice note, try to keep it concise, under 10 seconds, under 20 seconds, right? Don't send it like very lengthy, 1 minute, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 6 minutes. Nobody will hear to it. People will be pissed off, right? And it's just too lengthy. Who has time to listen to your 5 minutes voice note? It's just crazy. But if you keep your voice note concise, 10 to 15 seconds, talking about the problem, use your tonality and give them the value. Maximum maybe 1 minute, 1 minute, it has to be like quite warm already. It's not like super cold, right? But when you are adding value to kind of solve that problem using this voice note, it's going to be so powerful. But you need to use it at the right time, with the right amount, with the right energy, right? Then you can solve the problem. Okay, so that's it. This is the 10 things that most people are missing, and how that you can do it better, right? So as a recap, right, just quickly as a recap. So what not to do is don't pitch right away. When you're sending messages, don't pitch right away, but instead you need to ask about them first. Hey, so that your sales professional has been like 3 years in your industry, have you been crushing it? Like how is your earnings right now, right? You can ask that, maybe not ask the earnings at the beginning, but give them some context when you are opening a conversation. Don't just like pitch right away, copy paste, right? Don't copy paste, but personalize it and focus on them. Don't focus on you. Maybe 80% talking about them, maybe 20% talking about your stuff. Most people, they start with talking about their stuff and ask if they're interested. Don't do that. Instead, talking about them to find the problems, right? That's why you're here, to have a conversation with them. And then most people are also impatient, but don't do that. Instead, you need to follow up after 24, 48, 72 hours. The colder they are, the stranger they are, the longer it is, right, to follow up. Don't follow up too intense and it's harassing them. And don't just make friends, but you need to professionally be an expert. Instead, you need to flow, you need to have direction, you need to have a script. You know how to unlock the pain points. Move them emotionally is the purpose of your DM. When you can move them emotionally, they'll remember you, they'll easier to understand what you're selling, what you are doing, and how you can solve the problem. So focus on them, don't focus on you, right? And then don't focus on the outcomes, but focus on the purpose. Like I mentioned, if you're too focusing on the outcomes, you feel pitchy, you feel salesy, right? And nobody likes it. So focus on them first and focus on the purpose of your DM. Move them emotionally, getting them to understand their pains, their problems, and then don't send too complicated message, but keep it simple. Keep it unusual, simple, and personalized. Plus, you can put a market assumption to ask them some question to validate if they have that pain points, right? And then avoid no direction, but instead you should use ChatGPT that you can simplify that. So for example, if you're using a ChatGPT, hey, provide me a response provide me a response to this conversation, but you need to put it in a way that your language, and then put it down, make it easier to read, simplify it down to the 5th grade English, for example, so you can flow and be human. And don't harass people. Instead, you should adding value instead of pushing your stuff. Adding value. Let them know the problems that they're having, it needs to be solved, and how that you solve it in your way. They'll see what that you can do with that problem. So it's focusing on the problem finding instead of just problem solution. And then if you're sending video or voice notes, don't send it too long or too big or just lengthy. Nobody will read or listen to it, right? Send a voice note that's compact, or video that is compact, only 5 to, if you can do 5 seconds, I think that's the best. But if you can also do fast, like 10 to 20 seconds, then that is also the way that you can open up more conversation with people, right? Okay, makes sense? So do this 10 things and avoid these 10 things at the same time, and you get better at it, right? So I'll give you some example how the conversation flowing. This like one of my client account, right? And how that I reach out, this what I write on the Sales Navigator or LinkedIn is the same way, the same concept that I explained, right? So for example, put in the name, hey Tamika, I appreciate that you accepting my invitation request. I saw you from this group so that you're working as an accountant. Put a question mark, right? And then didn't get a reply, but she accepted it. And you say, okay, as an accountant, your work must be quite hectic. I saw that you are a passionate entrepreneur. How do you juggle between the two, right? And then the person will start to responding to you and understand what exactly that you are doing, right? So this is how you open a conversation, and how that you can giving more value to other people, because you are asking a good question that thoughtful, right? Same thing. Hi Michael, appreciate you, blah blah blah. I saw you from this group, right? So that you're working as a BDR, yes. And then you can say, yeah, I'm in this group. I've been interested. Hopefully one day I would start my own side hustle to earn extra money, blah blah blah. I just recently started my career, right? And then you can respond like, oh, that's cool. Like how starting on this, how that you can be good, how that you can, what's stopping you to start that side hustle to earn extra money, right? Is that because of your time? Is that because of something else? That is, you see that? This is the market assumption that I just do. So I want to unlock that pain points by giving some assumption to it. So you can say, and then they'll respond. So she'll say like, honestly, I think information overload. So this is one of the pain points, I've researched too much, blah, blah, blah. And I don't know how to make it, and it just make it a little tougher to decide which one I would like to pursue. So you can identify the pain points that he has. He has too much of the overload information out there, right? And he doesn't know what to do exactly to start his own thing. So this one of the way that you can unlock that pain points. All right. So this one of couple examples that you can do to have a better conversation with people. Remember this USP plus A concept. This is always working the best. So keep it concise, keep it unusual, simple, and personalized. You never go wrong with this. Drop me any question. And again, if you want to get into my circle, just get into my $9 program, and I'll show you what does it look like. Let me just show you very quick in document, so you can also understand. If you want to join this is the way that you can see what is inside of it, right? So you can get the same value as how other people have been getting. So this is the document that I have. You can go into this link if you want this. You can let me know what you will get exactly. You get a roleplay platform so you can practice with your others peers, and then you can get all the script templates, checklists, pipelines, right? That's what I have been talking about just now. And also you will get some contents to watch that updating weekly like this, some content like this. And I'm also opening my curtain, what's working right now behind the scenes, and not the outdated ones, so you can get a better conversation, and how that you can find your own opportunities. Let's say you are a salesperson looking for opportunities, work remotely, increasing your incomes, getting some side hustle in sales, how you can do that the same. And you can do a weekly live Q&A session. It's going up this Friday, so if you want to join, you can ask your personalized question and I'll answer your question in the live Zoom calls. And then I have some opportunities because I have quite a lot of companies from US, UK, and other first world countries that they want to select some good people, good sellers that want to work together, right? And you get also some online certificate that you can put on your LinkedIn. You can put in some areas that you know, right? Example like Emin, that he just made 2,500 less than a month implementing what I teach, and you can see a lot of stuff here that it's pretty good, that you can start with just $9 per month. You can cancel anytime if you don't like it, but this good stuff if you want to start ramping up your results in sales and getting more appointments for your business or your work. Okay, so with that being said, this is what I can do for today. Let me know if you have any question on this, and I'm happy to answer